Well, hey there, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I am your host, Janine Alley, and you are listening to Becoming the CEO of Your Life today. So, I have some amazing content for you today, and I actually am recording this podcast on a date of the week that I don't normally record podcasts because I am so excited about creating this. I just got off a coaching call about an hour ago. And this was the topic of conversation in that call. It was all about doubt and how doubt surfaces. The question that I got was, well, what if this doesn't work? Right? What if I've done all of these things and I've gotten to this level of success, and what if this doesn't work? And we have all asked ourselves that question many times over the process of creating anything, right? Creating the vision, creating a business, being a parent. I mean, this comes up all the time. What if this, what if this doesn't work when I'm thinking about my kids? I mean, I have thought that actually as a parent, but we've all experienced this from time to time. This is just part of the process. So before I get in and answer that question, how do we transform doubt into determination or into unwavering conviction, something that I talk about all the time on the show, I want to just address this one thing. I want you to be really clear that self-doubt never goes away. This is actually something that I also coach on a lot, is kind of this subconscious expectation that if I do enough coaching work, I will not experience these uncomfortable emotions like doubt or like anxiety or overwhelm, even sometimes. That one you can minimize considerably. Same with worry. But I feel like self-doubt is an emotion that is never going to go away, just like most emotions are. I think we get used to a process, we get used to doing something, and we develop a certain level of confidence, right? And we get to a point where certain emotions don't hold us back in doing that thing anymore. I'm thinking about podcasting, for example. When I first started podcasting, there was so much anxiety, so many big emotions around putting a podcast out into the world. And now it's not that big of a deal because I've done it, I've created it so many times. But if you are leveling up in some way, these emotions tend to get loud again. The self-doubt starts to creep back in a big way, and then it simmers down as your new level becomes your new comfort zone, right? It's not your discomfort zone anymore. It is now your comfort zone. And this creates a cycle, right? We're always growing, we're always expanding, we're always gaining new levels of expertise and confidence, and then we want to level up again, and then there's that level of discomfort and of course the self-doubt there. So let me give you an example of this. If you have had a ton of success and you're ready to do this full-time, whatever your vision is, and you have a family and you're the sole breadwinner, you're going to experience a ton of self-doubt in that, even though you've had so much past experience that you can lean on and say, okay, I've got this. I have this level of expertise. I think I know what I'm doing here enough to be wise in this choice. It's still going to show up, right? Or maybe you've been selling subscription boxes from your basement, for example, and you're expanding to the point where now you actually need a store. You need to buy a physical place. And this is what one of my clients has just done, is she has purchased a property that she is going to use to run her business out of. And she's like, what if this doesn't work? I've got some pretty big bills to pay, and I have a pretty big debt that is now associated with my name. What if this doesn't work, right? So the antidote, of course, to this doubt is unwavering conviction. It is conviction in you. It is conviction in your knowledge, in your ability to read data and to pivot. It's your conviction in your message or what you're doing, the vision that you have, and your ability to make a difference in the world. I mean, there is conviction in all of those things. Even if you've never done the thing before, if you understand that you are capable and that you're a problem solver and you know that you're going to create solutions to the problems that arise, that is conviction. And this is a presence of mind that we need to rely on in order to overcome these feelings of self-doubt. Otherwise, what happens is we waver, right? We're not unwavering, we waver in this place. So, the conviction that I'm talking about is something that we feel through our whole body. And I know at this point in the game that conviction is really a deal breaker. It is the missing piece for so many people, and it is the needed ingredient for any business in order to be successful. I know why we experience doubt. It's because of inhibition instinct that I've been talking about. It's the way that we have been educated as women to play small because we're relying on things like people pleasing behaviors and tentative speech and action and kind of reading what is expected of us from our teachers and delivering to that specific person and then switching gears and paying attention to the next teacher and delivering according to what their needs and wants are instead of what we feel like is what we want to create and what we want to say, right? Oftentimes we hold those things back because of our educational system, because we know we're going to get penalized because if we speak our mind, sometimes other people don't like that, or it's not what they were thinking when they created the assignment, right? Which is can be so frustrating. So in this one specific example, what I was coaching on today, my client has taken so many crazy winding roads. She's had a lot of successes. She's been brave. She's moved forward. She's ready to take this next leap. And like I said, this thought, what if this doesn't work, is coming up. And I think people think that they get to a certain level of success or a certain place in their business and they don't feel things. This is so not true. You're still a human being. That's not what thought work does for us. If we're getting really good at building awareness, we don't want to use an intentional thought, one that we practice, one that we have created a mantra around, to swap out for a thought that's creating a lot of doubt for us, right? What awareness does for us is it helps us to become a master of feeling our feelings. It helps us to become a master of understanding what our thoughts are and that those thoughts generate emotions. When you're in this space, you're not resisting, you're not pretending that doubt isn't there. You're getting better at allowing and leaning in to this experience and staying really curious. So when we start simmering in this self-doubt, what happens is this widens the alignment gap that I talked about last week on the show. So you're in the space of, okay, am I doing the right thing? Maybe I'm on the wrong track here. What if this doesn't work? Or what if I get crickets? Like, what if nobody shows up? What if I open my doors to my business or to this new way of doing something and nobody shows up? Listen carefully to what I'm going to tell you, because this is really important. Crickets don't create doubt. And crickets don't make or break your business, actually. What breaks a business is wavering energy. This is the number one dream killer, is wavering and doubt. And it all comes back to conviction. It all comes back to your unwavering belief to overcome that doubt. This is what you need to anchor yourself in. We need to have routines where we feel this on a regular basis. I would say on a daily basis at a minimum. And sometimes I feel like this conviction that I have about conviction, which is what my business is kind of based around, is this really fierce energy, right? If I could give it a spirit animal, I would give it a lion. It is this electric, it is this alive, it is this big emotion that I have. It feels like fire in my body. It's very passionate. It is very, like I said, just big. That is conviction, but it is also sometimes like a quiet inner knowing. I was talking on the coaching call today. I was picturing Oogway in my mind, that old sage turtle from the Kung Fu Panda movie, which is a favorite of mine. I feel like Poe, the dragon warrior in that movie, is kind of going along this journey of what I'm talking about, right? The first time that he's inside of the Jade Palace and Oogway announces that he's the dragon warrior, he's like, no, he's like trying to dodge. He's like trying to dodge Oogway's finger. He's like, did you mean tigress? Did you mean crane? Like, you can't be talking about me. It cannot be me. And then at the end, I remember Tylon asked him this question. He says, what are you going to do? Sit on me? Because Poe looks like this kind of out of shape character, right? And he's like, hey, don't tempt me. Because at that point, He has really embraced his strengths and his ability to be the dragon warrior, to be the person that defeats the bad guy in the movie. So it is kind of this energy of, I've totally got this. This thing that I've created is the most amazing thing ever. And this is a must have. Like, people have got to be with me on this. I mean, it is going to make your life so much easier. And so when we're experiencing this thought of like, okay, what if this doesn't work? Which again comes into our minds from time to time. I want you to slow yourself down and ask yourself, okay, what does that actually mean to you? Like, what does that look like if it doesn't work? What are you worried about exactly? Right. I could do my whole podcast on worry actually, but I want you to kind of explore in your mind what those worst case scenarios are. So if you have a physical building like my client, I mean, maybe the worst case scenario is that the whole thing burns down, right? Or maybe you have this fear that at some point you're going to run out of funds. And this was actually one of her worries. She's like, well, what if the people who I'm renting the building out to, or the work that is generated there, doesn't create enough income to pay the bills? Like, what if I'm not getting paid on my rent? And that is a really interesting, that is a really different fear than having the building burned to the ground, right? So here's the thing. I think oftentimes we get really worked up about finances, but here's the truth about money is that money really flows. I'm not saying that you need to go out and make a bunch of bad financial decisions. That's not what I'm saying. But you want to figure out, okay, if that happens, what would I do? Right? There are many, many ways for you to generate that flow of income. And so we talked about it. And one of the things that she said is I could get more people in, or I could get different people in, or, at that point of the game, I could run it out to doing something different as an interim option before this other piece of the puzzle, comes into play. And so you want to just answer those questions honestly for yourself. Like, what would you do if you didn't have enough cash flow and doing something? What would you actually do? I mean, I have gotten so creative in my past. I've picked up extra work. I have sold things to make things happen in my life. I mean, I have just gotten super creative with this. So I kind of feel like, I saw this meme the other day that I'm like, yeah, that's really true. For me, I feel like I have two options. I'm going to either go for my dream or I'm going to get old. And I don't want to get old. I really want to spend my time going for my dream. And we can definitely be wise about these kinds of things. But if it's not an option for you to quit, like it is for me, then we need to figure out, okay, what would I do and how would I pivot in this situation instead of allowing that thought, what if this doesn't work, to just kind of percolate in the background, right? That's not what we want. We want to go to work creating solutions so that that part of your brain can calm down. But I also want to say here, you want to allow your brain to be in both spaces, right? What if it does work? I mean, it would be amazing, right? Do you believe that that is even possible for you? I want you to be honest, right? Do you actually believe that? On a scale between 1 and 10 being your total belief that this is going to work, where are you? And this is a sliding scale. I don't feel like I'm always sitting at a 9, right? Or a 9.5 or a 10. I mean, sometimes, if I'm honest with you, sometimes I'm a 4, right? And in that space, I know I need to do the work to boost myself up at least above a 6 before I start creating, before I start talking to people. Because if I don't have that conviction, it bleeds through. And everything that I'm doing, the work that I'm creating, the conversations that I'm having, the interactions that I am, having with you all, even on this podcast, right? And so you want to get yourself into a space where you are believing in that dream and doing the work on a regular basis to get yourself there. I have routines in my life that are built around feeling this conviction and being in this space of belief because it makes a difference in everything else that I'm doing. So if you can answer that question honestly, and that really is the key, now you know you have something to work with. If your belief kind of feels weak, then you need to build this out, like I was just saying. One of the things that I loved, I actually read this in a poem by Emily Dickinson. She said, dwell in possibility. And this, like I was saying, is a skill. This isn't an intangible kind of thing. This is something that you cultivate and that you create and that you feel inside of yourself. This isn't something that just happens like willy-nilly. This is something that we have to create, actually. You are the one that has to believe harder than anybody else around you about what it is that you are doing. You cannot rely on other people to do this for you. I believe that this belief is the linchpin in your vision and your ability to create. If you don't have this, things are going to fall flat. They're just not going to be as magnetic and as empowering and as amazing as you are hoping that they will be, or as that you are envisioning that they will be. It is this belief that it is done and I am going to make it happen. And even though I don't know how all of the time, like most of the time, I'm still here to make it happen. And it's going to be amazing. And that is the antidote to that doubt. So, my friends, this is what I have for you today. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you shared it with friends, if you left me a rating and reviewed the podcast. This really does go a long way to help me grow my audience, which is a goal that I have this year. So thank you so much for doing that in advance. And I want to just tell you before I hop off that I have created a 20-minute masterclass training for you that is absolutely fire. I am so excited about this training. I actually redid it last week because there was another thought that came through. I was just so on fire about it. It came through in the middle of the night. I got up out of bed. I quickly changed the things that I needed to do. I recorded it that next day and it's live and it is so, so good. So this is the content that I wish I had known like 2 years ago. It really would have made all the difference in the way that I showed up and the things that I was creating. So I'm super excited about it. Go watch it right now. You can find it at JanineAlley.com/webinar, or you can go to my website, JanineAlley.com. You can click on the links over there and you will make your way to that webinar. So once again, the direct link is JanineAlley.com/webinar. Go watch it. It is so, so good. All right, you guys, have a beautiful rest of your week and we will talk to you guys soon. We'll see ya. Bye.